A young man was about to graduate college and wanted a sports car for a long time. Knowing his father can afford it, he asked him that this was all he desired. After the graduation, his father called him to his room and handed a beautifully wrapped gift. When the young man opened the gift, he was disappointed to see a Bible inside. He angrily shouted, "Father, you gave me a Bible instead of the car I wanted?" Then he stormed out of the house, leaving the Bible behind. Years later, the young man became a successful businessman. He realized he hadn't seen his father since graduation day. When he planned to visit, he learned his father had passed away. When he arrived at his father's house, sadness filled his heart. He began to search through his father's important documents and saw the Bible, still new, just as he had left it years ago. As he opened the pages, he found a key to the sports car he wanted, along with a note saying, "Paid in full." The son cried in regret, realizing what he lost. A rich businessman was walking in the beach and saw a fisherman rowing a small boat into the harbor. In the boat were a few big fish. Perplexed, the rich man asked, "Why don't you fish for longer and catch even more?" The fisherman responded, "More? This is enough to feed my whole family and share with my neighbors. So what do you do for the rest of your day?" The fisherman replied, "After I catch fish in the morning, I go home to spend time with my family and relax. In the evening, I drink with my friends." The businessman, eager to help, said, "I have PhD in business. I suggest you catch more fish till evening, earn more and buy a bigger boat. Then you can expand your business and become rich like me." "Then after that?" asked the fisherman. "Then," said the businessman, "you only need to work in the morning and spend the rest of your time with family and drink with friends." The fisherman replied, "Isn't that what I'm doing now?" Moral: contentment is subjective. Be like businessman or fisherman, the choice is yours. Once there was an old construction worker who was ready to retire. He told his boss that he wanted to quit and spend more time with his family. The boss was sad to hear this, as he was the best worker he had, so he asked him if he could build one more house. The worker agreed, but he wasn't really into it. He rushed through the work, used subpar materials, and did a sloppy job. When the house was done, the worker saw it was not his best work, but he was about to retire, so he didn't care. The boss checked the house and surprised him by saying, "This house is yours. It's my gift for your years of hard work." The worker was shocked. If he just did his best as usual, he'd have a great house. Now he had to live in this awful house, regretting the choices he made. Once a very rich old man believed he was about to die, so he called his sons and divided his wealth among them. But strangely, the tough old man didn't pass away for many years. During that time, his sons treated him poorly, not caring about his well-being. They used to act nice to him, hoping for more money. But now that they got their inheritance, they only wished he'd leave them alone, seeing him as a burden. Feeling hopeless, the old man asked his friend for help. The friend sympathized and came up with a plan. Soon after, the friend brought bags of rocks and told the old man to pretend they were riches paid from old debt. The sons saw the bags and started treating him better. Years later, upon the old man's death, his sons eagerly opened the bags, hoping for more wealth. To their dismay, they found only stones and gravel. They just got duped by their father due to their greediness and ungratefulness. Once a man walked through an elephant camp. He noticed the elephants weren't kept in cages or chains. All that was keeping them from escaping was a small piece of rope tied to one of their legs. As the man gazed upon the elephants, he was completely confused as to why the elephants didn't just use their immense strength and size to break the rope and escape the camp. They could easily have done so without much effort. Curious, he asked a trainer nearby why the elephants never tried to escape. The trainer replied, "Ever since they were young and small, we used the same rope to tie them, and at that age, even when they tried to escape, they couldn't. As they grew bigger, they still believed the rope could still hold them, so they never tried to break free. The thing that keeps them from escaping is not the rope, it's their mind." Once there was a farmer who regularly sold butter to a baker. One day, the baker weighed his butter to see if he is getting the right amount. To his surprise, he wasn't. So he took the farmer to court. The judge asked the farmer if he used any measure to weigh the butter. The farmer admitted that he's primitive and he didn't have a proper measure but used a scale. The judge asked, "How do you weigh the butter then?" The farmer explained that before the baker started buying butter, he used to buy a pound of bread from the baker every day. When the baker brought the bread, the farmer would put it on the scale and give him the same weight in butter. The judge finally understood what's going on and said, "If anyone is to be blamed, it's the baker." The moral of the story is simple. In life, you receive what you give. Once in a forest, a big lion was sleeping peacefully. Suddenly, a small mouse accidentally ran over his nose. The lion woke up and got mad, thinking to squish the little mouse. "Spare me," begged the poor mouse. "Please let me go, and someday I will surely repay you." The lion laughed, thinking how a tiny mouse could ever help him, but he felt kind and let the mouse go. Some days later, the lion got stuck in a hunter's traps while chasing a prey. He roared for help, but no one came. The mouse knew the voice and quickly found the lion struggling in the ropes. He nibbled and gnawed it until it parted, and soon the lion was free. "You laughed when I said I would repay you," said the mouse. "Now you see that even a mouse can help a lion." The lesson is simple. Kindness can come from unexpected places. Never underestimate others' ability to help. Before his death, a father told his son, "I want you to have this watch that your grandfather gave me. It's almost 200 years old, but before you keep it, go to the jewelry store and see how much they offer for it." The son followed his father's advice and went to the jewelry store. He returned, saying, "Dad, they offered me $150. They claim it's too old." The father calmly said, "All right, try the pawn shop." The son visited the pawn shop and came back disappointed. "Dad, they only offered $10 because it's too worn out." The father, undeterred, said, "Okay, take it to the museum." The son followed the advice and returned with surprising news. "Dad, the museum offered me $1 million. They consider it a very rare, precious piece of antique collection." The father looked at his son and shared a valuable lesson. "My son, I wanted you to understand that the right place will appreciate your real value, and the wrong place will treat you like trash. So don't put yourself in the wrong place." A teenage boy named Mike lived with his stepmom's house. They were poor, but they get along just fine. For a long time, Mike always wanted to buy a PS5, but it's worth $500 and he couldn't afford it. One night, the boy entered his stepmom's room and found her purse. He took $50 and left the room. The next day, his stepmom didn't say anything and went to work. After his stepmom left, Mike sneaked into her room again and took $50. And for 10 days, he kept on taking $50 from his stepmom's purse. Finally, he's got $500 to buy his game. Mike was happy playing his game all day, every day, but to avoid suspicion, he had to hide his game in an old box every time his stepmom would come home. One day, Mike woke up and couldn't find his game. Confused, he asked his stepmom, "Did you see a box lying around here?" His stepmom replied, "Oh, I sold all the boxes to our neighbor for $200 so we can pay rent this month." Moral lesson: don't steal from stepmom. One day, a father asked his son to play catch with him, but his son replied, "Sorry, Dad, I'm watching anime right now." The father smiled and replied, "Okay, my son, enjoy your cartoons," then left the room. The next day, his dad asked again. This time, he wanted to play baseball. The son, still immersed in his anime, refused and said, "Maybe next time, Dad, I'm watching anime." And for 1 week, the father repeatedly asked his son to play with him, but the son always denied his request. One day, when the son finally wanted to play, he found his dad's room empty. Confused, he asked his mom, who sadly said, "Your dad wanted to play with you every day, but now he's gone." The son cried in his room. Moral of the story: time is precious. Every moment we have with our loved ones should never be taken for granted. Once there was a poor man who wished to be the richest, worked day and night to make money. He spent so much time grinding that he neglected his family and friends. After a couple of years, he became a billionaire. When he felt he had enough money, he decided to retire and return home. But when he was about an hour away from home, the angel of death appeared, ready to take him away. The man begged for more time. "I'll give you all my money, I'm begging you. Just give me 1 week to spend time with my family." The angel didn't say a word. "Please, just 1 day." The angel remained silent. "Just 1 hour, please. My family is so close. Just let me see them." Finally, the angel spoke.
"All I can give you is 1 minute. Use it wisely."
The man quickly took his pen and paper and wrote, "I spent all my time earning money to become a billionaire. Now that I'm dying, I can't even buy 1 hour to see my family." Moral lesson: grind, but don't forget to spend time with your loved ones. One day, a mouse noticed that the farmer set a mouse trap. It shared this discovery with the chicken, goat, and cow. However, each of them responded by saying, "The mouse trap is your problem, it doesn't concern us." Later, a venomous snake got caught in the mouse trap and bit the farmer's wife. The farmer, in his efforts to heal her, prepared chicken soup. Unfortunately, it didn't work, and the wife had to be sent to the hospital. Later, the farmer slaughtered the goat to feed those who visit her. Eventually, the wife was cured. But in order to pay the hospital bills, the farmer had to sell the cow to the butcher. Throughout these events, the mouse observed everything from a hole in the wall, seeing all his friends disappear one by one. Always remember, what doesn't directly concern you may still have an impact in unexpected ways. Once a rich dad took his son to a village to see how poor people live. They visited a poor family's farm. When they got back, the dad asked, "How was the trip?" The son replied, "It was great, Dad. Did you see how poor people live?" The father asked. "So tell me, what did you learn from the trip?" The son replied, "We have one dog, they have four. We have a pool, they have rivers. We have lights at night, they have stars. We buy food, they grow theirs. We have walls to protect us, they have friends. We have television, they spend time with family." The dad was speechless. Then the son added, "Thanks, Dad, for showing me how poor we are." Morale lesson. Material wealth does not determine richness in life. Before his death, an old farmer called his sons. "My sons," he said, "listen carefully to what I'm gonna tell y'all. Don't ever sell the land that's been in our family for generations. There's a valuable wealth hidden somewhere in it. I'm not sure exactly where, but if y'all work hard, you'll find it." After their dad passed away, the son or treasure. Frustrated, the brothers decided to just plant some crops on their land. When the harvest time comes, they counted their earnings. They realized they made a lot more money than their neighbors. It turns out that their land was rich in nutrients. They now understood what their father spoke of treasure. Their land was the treasure. During Christmas, a little girl lovingly decorated a box with gold wrapping paper to put under a Christmas tree. Their family didn't have much money, so the dad scolded her for using almost the entire roll of expensive paper. The following morning, the girl presented the gift to her dad, saying, "This is for you, Daddy." The dad was surprised. However, when he opened the box, it was empty. He got angry at his daughter and shouted, "Don't you understand that when you give someone a gift, there should be something inside?" The little girl looked at her dad with tears and replied, "Daddy, this box is not empty. I filled it with my kisses, all for you." The dad was shocked. He felt deep shame and quickly asked for forgiveness while hugging his daughter. Moral lesson: the true worth of a gift lies in the love it carries, not just its material value. In a vast desert, a mother and daughter lived. Every morning, the mother would give her daughter one bucket of water, advising her to use it sparingly throughout the day. But each day, the daughter would recklessly waste the water, pouring it in the sand. The mother saw this but kept quiet. One morning, the young lady woke up without water. She looked for her mother, but she couldn't find her. Thirsty, she took the empty bucket and went to fill it. After walking for miles, she found the pond and filled her bucket. She carried the water through the blazing sun. Exhausted, but proud, she arrived home. To her surprise, her mother was home waiting for her, then asked her to pour the water out into the sand. "But mother," protested the daughter, "I worked so hard to get this water." Her mother's responded, "Now that you carried your own bucket of water, you finally learned the value of every drop." A boy and a girl were friends. One day, they were strolling in an empty street when suddenly, a big angry dog approached them. Both got scared, so the boy quickly climbed to the fences, without giving a solitary thought to the girl who don't know how to climb. As the dog approached, the girl noticed that the dog's tail was wagging. She recalled that dogs with wagging tail are probably happy and playful. When the dog got close, she remained still without moving. The dog licked her face and moved on. The boy climbed down and asked the girl, "What did the dog whisper in your ears?" The girl replied, "The dog advised me to stay away from fake friends like you." Moral of the story: choose your friends wisely. True friends will never abandon you in times of need. A young orc lives in a village. Every night he would sneak into a farm to steal fruits. Apples, peaches, he took them all. One evening, as he was sneaking around, he accidentally stepped on the dike that held back the river near the farm. He saw the water flowing but didn't think of it and continued to steal some fruits. The next day, disaster struck. The broken dike caused the farm to flood. The farmer's family cried as their farm was submerged in water. The young orc saw this and felt regret. Determined to make amends, he helped the farmer's family to restore the farm. As the orchard started to recover, the farmer finally asked, "Why are you helping us?" The young orc replied,
I'm sorry, it was all my fault. I broke the dike while I was stealing some fruit.
In the end, the farmer forgave him, and the young orc transformed from a thief to a helpful friend. Once there was an orc and a human who were carrying a huge block of rock. These blocks of rocks were really heavy and they had to carry them for miles. As they walked, they started to grumble.
This rock is too heavy,
Said the orc,
Yeah, my back hurts.
added the human. Suddenly, the human had a smart idea.
Let's carve this rock into a ball. It will be easier to roll. That's a great idea.
The orc agreed. So they carved the block of rock into a big round ball and rolled it along the path. It didn't take long for them to arrive at the destination, but when they reached the site, they immediately got scolded,
What have you done?
yelled the overseer.
We needed those blocks to build a pyramid, not a ball.
The orc and the human felt ashamed. They realized that taking shortcuts can lead to problems. An orc and a human were traveling, each on opposite sides of a steep cliff with a strong river rushing down below. The only bridge was a wooden log, barely wide enough for a single person to cross safely. However, neither the orc nor the human were willing to wait for the other, both stubborn. The orc stepped onto the log from one side, while the human did the same from the other. As they met in the middle, they argued on whom to pass. "You should have waited for me to pass first," the human exclaimed.
You're the one who should have waited.
The orc replied. They clashed and wrestled, refusing to concede an inch. Eventually, their struggle ended in tragedy, as they both lost their footing and fall to the river below. Moral lesson: stubbornness can lead to unnecessary conflict and harm. Once there was an orc who was sharpening his axe. Along came his human friend, who kept teasing others every day instead of working.
Why do you keep sharpening your axe?
Asked the human.
Maybe not now.
The orc replied.
But if danger comes, I won't have time to sharpen my axe. I need to be ready at all times. Danger? We're never in danger. You should just relax and have fun.
The human exclaimed. Later that night, a group of goblins attacked the village. The orc, who sharpened his axe, valiantly defended his farm and drove away the invaders. Unfortunately, the human, who hadn't sharpened his axe, struggled to protect his farm and was pillaged by the goblins. As the orc visited his human friend, the human cried,
I should have been ready. I wasted my time fooling around.
"Once upon a time, there was a loyal dog who lived with a loving family. The dog was their faithful companion and watched over their newborn baby whenever they were busy. One day, the parents had to leave the house, so the father entrusted the dog with the baby's safety. The faithful dog took this responsibility and kept a watchful eye over the baby. Moments later, a venomous snake crawled towards the baby, posing a threat. The dog didn't hesitate and bit the snake and killed it. When the parents returned, they saw that the room was a mess, and the dog had blood around his mouth. The father, thinking the dog hurt his baby, shot the dog. However, the mother shouted, "The baby is fine! He is sleeping!" Upon closer inspection, they discovered a dead snake next to the crib. The father realized his mistake and rushed the injured dog to the hospital, but sadly it was too late for the poor fellow. The father was overwhelmed with regret. His impulsive action led to the loss of his loyal companion. A human and an orc were mortal friends. They both cut trees together every day. The brute orc chops trees all day without any rest, while the human goes to his cabin to rest twice a day. Surprisingly, they both end up chopping the same number of trees every day, even though the orc works more. The orc couldn't believe it. He knew he should have more as he was stronger, and also never took a break. Curious, he asked the human,
Puny human. How do you manage to chop down the same amount of trees as me every day, even though you keep taking breaks?
The human replied, "Same
My
number
orc
of
friend,
trees
I was
every
not just
day,
taking breaks,
even
I was
though the
also
orc
sharpening
works
my
more."
axe.
Moral lesson: work hard and smart. A horde of orcs were traveling through a snowy mountain. During the journey, one orc spotted something shiny deep in the ravine. It was a mountain of gold and treasure. He looked behind and no one saw it except him, so he quietly slipped away and went down the ravine. With a big smile on his face, he quickly filled his bag with as much gold as he can. Barely able to lift the bag, he proceeded to climb back. But as he was slowly climbing up, a brutal snowstorm arrived. Suddenly, a massive avalanche came crashing down from the distance. The orc climbed as fast as he can, but the bag was too heavy. He shouted for help, but the horde was too far away. Facing a tough decision, he threw the gold away and quickly climbed to safety, barely escaping being buried alive. As he rejoined the horde, he realized if he had told everyone, they could have taken all the gold with ease before the storm even arrived. Now, it's all buried in the snow. An orc and a human were brothers. One night, they were traveling in a forest when suddenly a horde of undead creatures emerged from the shadows. The brothers, startled but not scared, stood their ground. As the undead approached, the brutal battle began. But in the midst of the chaos, the human took a grave hit. He shouted,
Run, my brother! We can't win this! Save yourself!
The orc looked at his injured brother.
I'm not leaving you here alone. It's either we both survive or we die together.
With that, the orc stood tall, defending his wounded brother. They fought like never before, each covering the other's back. In the end, as the first light of dawn broke, the undead horde scattered and fled. Breathing heavily, the human smiled at the orc.
Brother, I made it out alive because of you.
The orc replied,
We're brothers. We face the darkness together, always.
One day, a young girl picked 2 apples on a tree. She showed them to her mom and said, Mom, look at this beautiful ripe apples. The mom replied, Yes, sweetie, they look very delicious. Can we share? The girl looked at the apples and quickly took a bite from one apple, then another from the second. The mom was shocked. She thought her daughter was being greedy. She couldn't believe her daughter wouldn't even share an apple, not even with her own mother. But then the daughter gave the mom one of the apple and said, This one is for you, Mom. It's sweeter. The mom was speechless. Don't judge others too quickly. Always take time to understand. Once an elf lived in the deep forest. He was a family man with dozens of children, but he had a deep secret that no one knew, not even his family. Deep under his treehouse lies a mountain of treasures he accumulated for centuries. One day, he decided to deposit more gold, so he sneaked away, entered the room, and closed the door. But as he locked it, he realized that he had forgotten his special key. Panic struck, and he couldn't get out. He yelled for help, but no one heard him, as no one knew about this place. He collapsed and cried. He thought to himself, all these treasures are pointless, as he is going to die of starvation and dehydration. After days without food and water, his life flashed before his eyes and remembered his family. But as he was about to pass out, he was awakened by the door opening. When he got up, he saw his family in the entrance. We've been looking for you for days, his family shouted while running towards him. He finally realized that his family is more important than some gold. Once upon a time, there was a popular elf with millions of fans. She seemed to have it all: fame, fortune, and influence. One day, while strolling in the city, she came across a hungry orc. She saw an opportunity to spread message of kindness and generosity, so she decided to film herself while giving food to the homeless orc. She uploaded it, and the video went viral, earning her praise and admiration from her fans. But behind the scenes, things weren't as they seemed. It turns out that she had staged the entire encounter for views and likes. The homeless orc was actually an actor hired for the video. When the truth came out, her fans were outraged. She lost all her followers, but that's not all. She also lost her integrity, which she endured for hundreds of years. In the end, she donated all her money to charity, and the people forgave her. Despite losing all her money, she learned a valuable lesson. Genuine kindness cannot be faked for likes and shares. Once on a bus, a young boy sat quietly by the window, feeling sad due to his lack of money. Suddenly, he noticed a wallet on the ground. He looked around and no one saw it, so he picked it up and opened it to find loads of cash. He imagined all the things he could buy, but despite the temptation, he felt conscience in his heart. With a deep breath, he tapped the shoulder of the girl in front of him. "Excuse me, is this yours?" he asked, holding out the wallet. The girl turned around. Suddenly, her eyes wide with surprise. He looked around and no one saw it, so he picked it up. As she took the wallet with tears in her eyes, she explained that the money inside was for her school tuition fee, and without it, she wouldn't be able to continue her education. As they reached her stop, she hugged the boy tightly, saying, "You're an angel," before stepping off the bus. He realized that even though he could have kept the wallet, the feeling of doing the right thing was worth more than any amount of money. An orc orc and a human were fierce rivals. Every day they fought, fueled by hatred. Despite this, they don't even remember why they are angry at each other. The villagers watched their relentless feud as they wreaked havoc. One day, a massive dire wolf attacked the village, demolishing everything in its path. The orc and the human, caught in the chaos, realized the danger was far greater than their meaningless quarrel. As the wolf approached, the orc and the human swallowed their pride and teamed up. With coordinated attacks and shared determination, they valiantly battled the dire wolf together. They almost died, but in the end, they emerged victorious, driving the dire wolf away. That day, they learned that big problems can bridge even the worst enemies, turning rivals into allies for the greater good. Once there was a mother and daughter that lived in the desert. Every morning, the mother would give her daughter one bucket of water, advising her to use it sparingly throughout the day. But each day, the daughter would recklessly waste the water, pouring it in the sand. The mother saw this but kept quiet. One morning, the young lady woke up without water. She looked for her mother, but she couldn't find her. Thirsty, she took the empty bucket and went to fill it. After walking for miles, she found the pond and filled her bucket. She carried the water through the blazing sun. Exhausted, but proud, she arrived home. To her surprise, her mother was home waiting for her, then asked her to pour the water out into the sand. "But mother," protested the daughter, "I worked so hard to get this water." Her mother's responded, "Now that you carried your own bucket of water, you finally learned the value of every drop." Once in a village lived an orc and a human. Both were fishermen of the sea. Each morning, the orc would head out before dawn to cast his net into the waters, while the human preferred to sleep more and catch fish later in the day. One sunny day, the human chuckled at the orc's early rising habit.
Why do you fish too early? The fish never leaves the ocean.
The orc smiled and said,
Early bird catches the worm, my friend.
Weeks passed, and the orc consistently returned with a full boat, while the human struggled to catch anything. Frustrated, the human decided to try the orc's approach. The next morning, he joined the orc at the docks before sunrise. To his surprise, the sea was teeming with fish. With the orc's guidance, the human filled his nets quickly. From then on, the human became an early riser, learning that sometimes it is better to be early than late. Once, in a small town, there was a poor family. The son always hated his family being poor. One day, as they sat down for dinner, he complained about the food his mom cooked. "Rice and beans again? I want fried chicken and burgers." However, his dad and mom didn't say a word. The next day, the father prepared for work, carrying his lunchbox. Feeling frustrated, the son followed his dad. At the work site, he witnessed his dad digging rocks tirelessly. Hours passed as his dad worked without a break. As he ate his bread, he noticed his dad hadn't touched his lunch. A couple of hours later, overcome with guilt, he got up and ran up to his dad and shouted, "Dad, why don't you rest? You didn't even eat your lunch." But when he picked up his dad's lunchbox, it was empty. "Dad, how are you doing this?" His dad replied, "My son, my duty as a father gives me the strength to do this every day." Once an orc and an elf lived in a village. Both entered the annual race, a competition held every year where contestants go through an obstacle course. For the last 5 years, the orc won every race with his brute strength alone, without even training. The elf, determined to win, trained tirelessly for months, improving his agility and stamina. As the day of the race began, the orc dominated quickly by relying on his strength to bulldoze through the obstacles. The elf used his speed and agility to navigate the course with precision. As they neared the finish line, the orc got tired, while the elf was still fresh. In a surprising twist, the elf crossed the finish line first, stunning the whole village. Breathing heavily, the orc asked,
How are you not tired at all?
The elf simply replied, "Months of daily training, my friend." That day, the orc learned that talent without hard work is not enough. Once in a kingdom, there lived a dragon. He served as the guardian of the royal castle for 20 years, always loyal to the queen. He never failed in his duty to protect her, and everyone admired him for his loyalty. But one fateful day, a massive dragon descended from the mountains and wreaked havoc to the castle. The loyal knight trembles in fear and is unable to move. The fiery beast was unlike any foe he had faced before. The queen shouted to the knight for protection. Torn between duty and fear, he hesitated. In a moment of weakness, he abandoned his post, leaving the queen and the castle defenseless. The dragon unleashed its fury upon the castle, reducing it to rubble. The once proud kingdom now lay in ruins. That day, they realized that loyalty without bravery is an empty promise.